Story 1. Microfragmentation is a scientific technique for growing coral that normally takes up to 25 to 30 years, but can achieve similar results in about 3 years. This helps the ocean and the planet survive. Story 2. Schizophrenia may originate in bone marrow. One man was cured of schizophrenia by receiving a bone marrow transplant. Another man developed schizophrenia after receiving a bone marrow transplant from his brother who had schizophrenia. Story 3. Recently, testing began on a highly portable skin grafting machine. It uses a hydrogel made from the patient's own skin cells, scans the burned area, and prints new skin over the wound. Story 4. There is a good chance there will be a cure for celiac disease within the next 10 years. An active clinical trial is underway in Cleveland, Ohio, in which participants diagnosed with celiac disease receive infusions designed to reverse the autoimmune response triggered by gluten. The trial is ongoing, and we are closer than ever to a potential cure. I was invited to participate, but I do not have the time. If anyone local would like more information, please message me, and I will put you in contact with one of the researchers. Story 5. Guardant Health's blood test is more effective and significantly faster at detecting some forms of lung cancer than a conventional, more intrusive tissue biopsy. Story 6. It is now possible to perform an entire hour's worth of magnetic resonance imaging in 70 seconds, thanks to Swedish researchers who developed advanced algorithms. It will be exciting to see this roll out across the world in the coming years. Story 7. Double-stranded ribonucleic acid caspase oligomerizer was developed by Tom Ritter. Tom Ritter, a four-time doctor of philosophy at Lincoln Laboratory, developed a broad-spectrum antiviral with reported 100% survival rates at lethal doses for all non-retroviruses tested, including but not limited to Ebola virus, dengue virus, influenza, common cold viruses, and herpes viruses. The name stands for double-stranded ribonucleic acid caspase oligomerizer. It is a molecule composed of two linked parts. The first part binds only to double-stranded ribonucleic acid. The second part is a deoxyribonucleic acid sequence that induces apoptosis, or programmed cell death. It binds only to virally infected cells, causing those cells to undergo programmed cell death. This represents a potential future antiviral approach. Story 8. Earlier this month, scientists welded glass and metal together using ultrafast laser pulses on the order of picoseconds. Picoseconds are 1/1,000,000th of a second. This had not been achieved before because glass and metal have very different thermal properties. This is a significant breakthrough in manufacturing and could lead to stronger, lighter materials. Story 9. Two recent studies showed that, using specific imaging and clinical criteria, mechanical thrombectomy can be performed up to 24 hours from symptom onset, producing a statistically significant improvement in patient outcomes. Until those studies, clinicians could only treat ischemic stroke within 6 hours of symptom onset. Patients who awoke with stroke symptoms typically had no effective treatment options. Now clinicians can attempt mechanical thrombectomy to remove the clot and potentially restore neurological function. Compared with stroke care 10 years ago, when options were very limited, treatment has made major advances. Story 10. One of the more recent theories in psychiatry gaining popularity, although acknowledged decades ago, is the role of inflammation and the immune system in mental illness. Studies show that in schizophrenia and other psychotic conditions, inflammation can attack the brain. Some of the damage caused by inflammation might be irreversible, so early intervention could prevent chronic schizophrenia. Trials have been attempted with anti-inflammatories such as fish oil with mixed success. The role of inflammation has been extended to multiple mental illnesses, including depression, with raised inflammatory markers and other evidence being common findings. Mental illness is ultimately multifactorial. Causes are often biological, psychological, and social. We cannot reduce something so complex and heterogeneous to a single action by the immune system. However, the idea has generated excitement because there may be people for whom immune system dysregulation is a primary cause of schizophrenia, and researchers are racing to find prevention. Story 11. They are getting closer to a cure for type 1 diabetes. Several people have been cured and have not needed insulin for years after participating in a clinical study. Update. City of Hope is conducting the trials and aims to cure diabetes within 6 years. One patient who has been cured is Roger Sparks. As reported by City of Hope. City of Hope published a detailed summary of their 2018 findings and has released more recent updates describing promising treatments for type 1 diabetes. Story 12. We have figured out how to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and, very recently, how to turn it into solid flakes of carbon. This is not limited to highly specific and expensive laboratory conditions. The process is apparently scalable. We still need to curb emissions, but this changes the equation on global warming by allowing us to put some of the toothpaste back into the tube. Coupled with wind and solar energy, I predict this will become a major industry by mid-century, and very pure carbon will be an abundant material. Story 13. Don't know if anyone has pointed this out, but scientists have discovered a new species of orca that lives in subantarctic waters. They are calling it the type D orca. They have more rounded heads, smaller white eye patches, and taller, narrower dorsal fins. As a soon-to-be marine biology graduate, this excites me. Edit. Thank you for the attention. See National Geographic for pictures and videos. These orcas have been discussed for many years, but this is the first time they were videoed and sampled for deoxyribonucleic acid testing. Story 14. Any breakthrough about the stomach being a second brain makes me happy, whether it is bacteria, inflammation, or other factors contributing to anxiety. People with irritable bowel syndrome have higher rates of anxiety and depression. Story 15. Astronomer here. Most of you have heard that the universe is expanding. Astrophysicists believe there is a relationship between the distance to faraway galaxies and how fast they are moving away from us, called the Hubble constant. We use the Hubble constant for just about everything in cosmology. If you use standard candle stars, Cepheids, and type Ia supernovae to measure how fast galaxies are moving away from us, you get approximately 73 plus or minus 1 kilometers per second per megaparsec. If you study the earliest radiation from the universe, the cosmic microwave background, using the Planck satellite, you get 67 plus or minus 1 kilometers per second per megaparsec. This difference is large, and both methods are considered reliable with no obvious errors. To date, no one has come up with a satisfactory answer for why this might be. If the measurements truly disagree, it could mean there is some new basic physics at play. It is exciting. Whenever you think you know how the universe works, it can throw curveballs at you from unexpected places. Some have asked if dark energy, which drives the acceleration of the universe, might cause the discrepancy. In short, no. Observations show the universe is now accelerating faster than we expect even when accounting for dark energy. It is strange. Story 16. The Food and Drug Administration recently approved esketamine, a form of ketamine, as a nasal spray antidepressant for treatment-resistant depression. It is one of the few unique and hopeful approaches to this condition in years. Some studies report recovery rates as high as 80%, though this typically reflects symptom alleviation rather than full recovery. Story 17. People know about immunotherapy, but they do not realize how quickly treatments are being developed now. I am hopeful we will see cures for different types of cancer and immune disorders in our lifetime. Story 18. Solid-state batteries are coming down the pipeline. Last I heard, a researcher who helped invent the modern lithium-ion battery announced a breakthrough with them. This is exciting because a much more stable battery could transform many areas of technology. Update. There have been further developments, but the technology is still progressing slowly toward the market. Story 19. Göbekli Tepe. Ruins discovered in Turkey that date back to 11,000 before Common Era or earlier, throws a massive wrench into our understanding of what people were capable of at that time and suggests that advanced civilizations may have existed long before previously thought. Only about 10% has been excavated. Story 20. Bacteriophages are being used to treat diseases and may help solve the antibiotic crisis. I think the YouTube channel Kurgsja, whatever it is called, made a video about it. Story 21. New cancer therapy in development causes both primary tumors and metastases to shrink. I read about this in German, and there are related articles in English. The treatment combines two cancer drugs. The combination makes metastasis cells respond better and die. Trials began with breast cancer, and researchers plan to study other major cancer types. A Medical Express article from March 2019 discusses these findings. Story 22. I would have to say prosthetics. You can get hands and feet that are very close to the real thing and that operate by sensing the remaining muscles. We are long past the days of military-style hooks and lumps of solid plastic. Story 23. Archaeologists have uncovered a site that formed within minutes of the Chicxulub comet impact, showing that the event occurred as expected and that millions of animals were killed almost immediately by fire, debris from the sky, and an enormous tsunami that ripped through the North American inland sea. This is likely to remain the find of the 21st century. Story 24. Environmental deoxyribonucleic acid is useful. There is enough sloughed off deoxyribonucleic acid from organisms in water bodies to determine what is swimming in them. Non-invasive environmental deoxyribonucleic acid detection techniques have proven useful for monitoring the presence of rare or endangered species such as hellbenders. Story 25. It is not just the bee colonies that are dying, it is all our insects. Recent research and projections indicate that insect populations, particularly butterflies and moths, are on track for extinction within 100 years due to pesticide use and climate change. If insect declines continue, we will see cascading effects on other animals and birds, including humans. Environmental scientists say we are at the beginning of a mass extinction event. This is alarming, yet little of this reaches the public through mainstream media, and it is sometimes dismissed as a conspiracy theory. Story 26. Researchers discovered that Alzheimer's may be a reaction to a bacterium. Story 27. Almost all water and food we consume contain microplastics. This is concerning. Story 28. There is a bacterium that can break down plastic very quickly. It's interesting. You should look it up. Story 29. There are a few companies, researchers, and initiatives working on using captured carbon dioxide as a feedstock for various chemicals, plastics, and building materials, replacing oil-based feedstocks. I worked for a startup that was making insulating foams for buildings, which contained about 25% carbon dioxide by mass. The materials had a long lifespan. At the moment, much climate change prevention work focuses on reducing carbon dioxide emissions. But this is a game changer. Instead of being the problem, carbon dioxide becomes a valuable commodity. Companies are incentivized to capture it rather than release it. Capturing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere can become commercially viable. It is the carbon economy in reverse. Story 30. I work in a cancer laboratory. I think it receives a decent amount of attention, but not enough. We are now starting to build artificial intelligence models that can infer very deep relationships among the genome, phenotype, and cancer. Since the Cancer Genome Atlas began, we are uncovering hypothesized causal links in cancer by the dozens each year. Research is exploding. Drugs take 10 or more years to go from idea to product, which means many findings from 5 to 6 years ago still count as recent. I truly believe cancer will be cured in my lifetime, and I am no stranger to the disease. Story 31. Skrillex stops mosquitoes from mating. Story 32. I think just this week scientists found debris from an asteroid that hit Mexico some 66 million years ago, creating a huge crater. This debris was found in North Dakota, providing further evidence that the asteroid was a major factor in the extinction of the dinosaurs and much of life on Earth at that time. Story 33. Open source recycling machine. Input recyclables. Output three-dimensional printed fuel models extrusions. Why is this not available outside schools, apartment complexes, homes, and trailer parks? Story 34. Clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats and its successors are going to define the 2020s in my opinion. Story 35. In people with misophonia, the brain shows that the sound processing area is directly linked to the emotional response center. As someone with misophonia, I hope to the stars that neurologists and ear, nose, and throat specialists start taking more notice of this instead of pawning us off on psychiatrists because many of them think we are crazy. I added a resource that expands on my oversimplified description. I cannot reply to everyone tonight. It is 4:04 a.m. where I am and I need to sleep. I will do my best to reply over the next couple of days. I watched the documentary on Amazon Prime. Thank you to everyone for commenting and asking questions. This raises awareness, which leads to research, studies, breakthroughs, treatment, and help. Many people suffer with this condition and feel they are crazy when others say it is all in their head. No more. From one person with misophonia to another, you are not crazy. You are not alone. You are acknowledged, vindicated, and validated. You matter. Do not be afraid to stand up and say, "Quiet, please," because it is not too much to ask. Thank you for the support. Story 36. Bacteriophages could put an end to antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Story 37. We recently discovered that single-celled organisms evolved into multicellular organisms because of the environmental stress of predation. I feel this has been a long-standing mystery for humanity, and when the study was published, few people paid it any attention because of the many other major events going on in the world. Story 38. Women can become pregnant using their bone marrow instead of a man's sperm. Story 39. I'm not sure how recent this is, but there are cameras that can record at 10 trillion frames per second, fast enough to record the speed of light. Story 40. There are central processing units that can change their internal circuitry on the fly to suit the problem they are working on. This can yield large power savings and free traditional central processing unit cores for other tasks. Imagine encoding a 4K game stream using just a few watts of power and almost no central processing unit time. The downsides are cost and long build times for developers. Programs may take 8 hours to compile. Essentially, it is a central processing unit with a field programmable gate array in the same package. The field programmable gate array is available as an open computing language target and, being in the same package as the central processing unit, shares global random access memory with it. An example part is the Intel Xeon Gold 6138P. Some people have complained that the popular science explanation is misleading. A field programmable gate array does not physically change its internal circuit structure. It uses random access memory-based lookup tables and multiplexers to implement a particular digital behavior. Running a computation on a field programmable gate array is significantly more power efficient than on a central processing unit, but still much less efficient than a custom physical circuit. The benefit of a field programmable gate array is that you can change the circuit it implements whenever you like. You can implement a central processing unit on a field programmable gate array, and there are kits that walk you through that, but such implementations are orders of magnitude less powerful and efficient than actual physical central processing units. The reason you get speed and efficiency from a field programmable gate array for a particular computation is that the compiler implements a bespoke pipeline on the field programmable gate array instead of relying on a general-purpose central processing unit pipeline. Field programmable gate arrays have been around for a while, but recent advancements include compilers that effectively turn programs written in high-level languages into bespoke pipelines. Much higher clock speeds and circuit density in field programmable gate arrays, and integration of field programmable gate arrays into central processing units with transparent interfacing for the programmer. Story 41. I just submitted my work about how different neurons control the motivation to seek reward and avoid punishment. Feel free to read and share. It is not peer-reviewed yet. We submitted to a peer-reviewed journal today and we are waiting on a decision. Story 42. Some people can smell Alzheimer's up to 15 years before the first symptoms, with 100% accuracy. An oil in the skin has been identified that they detect, and last week a low-cost device was launched that can test for it in 15 minutes. Story 43. The Tyrannosaurus Rex had fur. After reading the comments, I have realized that the Tyrannosaurus Rex had protofeathers rather than fur. My comment was based on the new exhibit at the American Museum of Natural History, where the animal is depicted at all life stages with some form of hair, particularly during an early stage after hatching. I apologize for any confusion I caused. Story 44. A male birth control pill is entering human trials. Story 45. China recently sprouted cotton seeds on the moon. I saw only a few articles the day it happened, but I have not seen any updates since. Story 46. A company in Massachusetts has developed a process that uses ionizing radiation from an electron accelerator to break apart cellulose molecules. Essentially, you can run a vehicle powered by ethanol on leaves. Story 47. 90% of table salt sold worldwide contains microplastics. Microplastics are also in our drinking water and in the air we breathe. It is still not known how this affects human health, but I suspect it is not good. Story 48. Bernura was finally approved for use in Australia. It is a drug that slows the progression of the extremely rare and fatal Batten disease. Story 49. Researchers found evidence from the day the asteroid struck. Glass in fish lungs and footprints. Story 50. I am surprised no one mentioned this. A new form of cancer therapy was recently discovered, and it won the Nobel Prize last year. I was very excited when I found out and still am today. Another interesting discovery is the interstitium, a fluid-filled structure beneath the skin that remained undiscovered until last year. Story 51. Scientists have photographed light by building a camera that captured so many frames per second that it can see light in motion. Source: Live Science. Story 52. Three-dimensional printing of organic skin and organs. Within a decade, you will be able to safely receive a new heart, liver, or large sections of tissue after accidents or illness. Until then, please agree to donate your organs when you die. They truly save lives. Story 53. A researcher developed a treatment that cured some forms of cancer by using the patient's own cells to attack cancer cells. The approach is recent and is typically available only to patients who have tried at least 2 prior therapies or who have an urgent condition. It is expensive. Story 54. At my university in Chile, a physicist discovered a reliable correlation between anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field and very large earthquakes. He says he can predict earthquakes months in advance. He needs funding to hire programmers for the data analysis. Story 55. Research is underway to develop a vaccine against dental caries, the tooth decay caused by bacteria. Story 56. Roundup, which contains glyphosate, is likely killing honeybees by altering the bacteria in their stomachs and intestines, making them more susceptible to disease. Should we be concerned? Could glyphosate be doing the same to the human gut microbiome and making us sick? Story 57. It could be me, but it seems gum has gotten mintier lately. Story 58. Borderline personality disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder are treatable with eye movement desensitization and reprocessing and dialectical behavior therapy. You are traumatized, not broken. Edit. This is not new, but these therapies may be more widely used. Story 59. A high school student developed a breakthrough in battery technology using supercapacitors to enable very fast charging. I initially thought it involved chip-based batteries, but that was incorrect. Last I heard, she was accepted to Harvard and is continuing research. This could be a major advancement for electric vehicles and for any device that uses batteries. Story 60. Bacteriophage therapy offers a way to address the growing threat of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, also known as superbugs. Story 61. Hemp can be used to make all types of plastic and is much better for the environment. This is not a new discovery, and I do not know why we do not use hemp-based plastics. Story 62. The first ketamine, actually esketamine, treatment for depression is now available in the United States as a nasal spray. Story 63. A company in South Korea will genetically clone your dog for $100,000, producing a puppy with the same DNA as the original. They can even edit genes and have created dogs with glow-in-the-dark nails. They are also working to bring the woolly mammoth back from extinction. Story 64. In Britain, I believe the second man ever was completely cured of the human immunodeficiency virus. If this research continues, we may be able to eliminate the disease altogether someday. Story 65. They cured the human immunodeficiency virus with stem cells that have natural resistance. That is amazing. Why do the headlines keep focusing on a short-lived, publicity-seeking public figure? This is much more important. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.